Picture this. It's a quiet Saturday morning. The sun is shining. Birds are chirping. And I'm finally outside working on a garden project I had been putting off for weeks. For once, everything felt peaceful. But that peace didn't last long. Out of nowhere, a beat-up golf cart rolled slowly down the street and stopped in front of my house. Sitting inside were a man and a woman wearing what looked like cheap security uniforms. They hopped out and started marching toward my yard like they owned the place. The man had a clipboard. The woman had an old digital camera hanging around her neck. They stopped right at the edge of my lawn. The man cleared his throat dramatically. "Excuse me, sir," he said in a loud official voice. "We're from the Homeowners Association Patrol. We received a complaint about the length of your grass." I blinked. First of all, my grass had been cut 2 days ago. Second, our neighborhood doesn't even have an HOA. We voted against having one years ago specifically to avoid nonsense like this. I set my gardening tool down and walked over with a polite smile, assuming it was just some misunderstanding. "I think there's been a mistake," I said calmly. "There's no HOA here." The woman scoffed and rolled her eyes. "That's what they all say," she snapped. She pointed dramatically at my lawn. "Our records show your property is violating Section C, Paragraph 4 Lawn Maintenance Standards." The man nodded seriously and wrote something on his clipboard. "We'll need to issue you a citation. That will be a $200 fine, payable immediately." Now I was genuinely confused. "A fine? From who?" I asked. "And who exactly are you people?" The man puffed up his chest. "We are the authorized enforcement agents for the Greater Neighborhood Covenant Committee." I had lived here for 10 years. I had never heard of that, or anything remotely like it. "Look," I said, starting to lose patience. "There is no HOA here. There is no covenant committee, and you're standing on my property. I'm asking you to leave." That was my first warning. But they didn't leave. In fact, they stepped closer. The woman lifted her camera and started snapping pictures of my house, my yard, even my garden gnomes. "We're documenting the violations," she said smugly. The man added, "If you refuse to pay the fine, we'll place a lien on your property." A lien? That's when it finally clicked. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was a scam, and a pretty bold one. My patience officially ran out. "All right," I said firmly, "that's enough. Get off my property. Now." That was warning number 2. But the man just laughed. "What are you going to do?" he said. "Call the police? By the time they get here, we'll be gone, and you'll steal the fine." He waved his clipboard in my face. "It's easier if you just pay." That was it. I held up one finger. "One moment," I said calmly. Then I turned around and walked back into my house. They probably thought I was going inside to grab my checkbook. They were wrong. Very wrong. I walked straight to my gun safe and opened it. Inside was my 12-gauge shotgun. Before anyone panics, no, I didn't load it with live ammunition. I loaded beanbag rounds. They're non-lethal rounds used for crowd control. Painful, very persuasive. When I stepped back outside holding the shotgun, the reaction was immediate. Their smug smiles vanished instantly. The woman froze. The man's jaw practically hit the ground. I didn't point the shotgun directly at them. I simply held it at a low, ready position. But the message was clear. "This is your final warning," I said calmly. "You have 10 seconds to get back in your golf cart and leave my property." Then I started counting. 10, 9. The woman immediately started backing toward the golf cart. 8, 7. The man looked at her, then at the shotgun, then back at me. Finally, his brain caught up with reality. 6. He turned and sprinted toward the cart. 5. They practically dived into the seats. 4. The man fumbled with the keys while the woman shouted at him. 3. The golf cart finally sputtered to life. They didn't wait for the rest of the countdown. They slammed the accelerator and sped down the street like their lives depended on it. The cart bounced over the pavement as they disappeared around the corner. And just like that, peace returned to my Saturday morning. I went back inside, locked the shotgun away safely, and then did exactly what they dared me to do. I called the police. I gave them a full description of the scammers, their fake uniforms, and their golf cart. The officer actually laughed when he heard the story, but he took the report seriously. Apparently, a similar scam had been reported in a nearby town. Two people pretending to be HOA enforcement officers, intimidating homeowners into paying fake fines. As far as I know, they were never caught. They probably moved on to another town. But I can guarantee one thing. They never came back to my neighborhood. Word travels fast. And sometimes when polite requests and warnings don't work, you have to speak a language everyone understands. On that day, my shotgun spoke for me, and it said very clearly, "Don't tread on me," and believe me, they listened.